India represents an audience of 1.3 billion people. That massive scale turns cinema into an incredibly potent tool for storytelling, and in the eyes of authorities, a medium that must be strictly policed to protect public sensibilities. For a filmmaker, the first formal hurdle is the censor board. This official body acts as a moral filter, tasked with maintaining societal norms before a film ever hits theaters. If your script crosses those lines, it stops right here. Films like Kama Sutra were outright rejected for their sexual content, while Anurag Kashyap's debut film Punch hit a wall over brutal violence and abusive language. But getting a passing grade from the board only provides an illusion of safety. You can walk out with an official certificate in hand, only to hit a completely different set of barriers. That legal clearance can be meaningless in practice. Even if the national board clears a movie for release, decentralized forces, both inside the courtroom and out in the streets, can dismantle a film entirely. The courts form a secondary, entirely distinct layer of censorship. Judges aren't evaluating the morality of a sex scene, they are weighing individual legal rights and the integrity of ongoing investigations. Take the 2004 film Black Friday. It was completely finished, passed by the censors, and ready to premiere, only to be trapped by legal injunctions. The plot meticulously reconstructed the real-life events of the devastating 1993 Bombay bombings. Because the actual criminal trials for those bombings were still happening, an accused individual filed a petition to stop the film. The High Court agreed, issuing a stay on the release to prevent the movie from prejudicing the ongoing trial. A similar fate hit the 1994 biographical crime epic Bandit Queen. The film's real-life subject, Phoolan Devi, actively fought to halt its release. She filed a case objecting to how she was portrayed on screen, forcing a prolonged legal battle before she eventually gave permission. These court interventions pull films into a years-long legal purgatory. The argument shifts away from what is culturally acceptable and instead becomes a slow-moving dispute over defamation and the right to a fair trial. If a film survives the censors and the courts, it faces the most unpredictable threat: raw, localized public anger and political mobilization. Director Deepa Mehta experienced this firsthand with her film Water. In her case, the suppression started long before the editing room. Because the film tackled sensitive topics like patriarchy, angry mobs violently attacked the production itself, physically dismantling the sets and throwing the filming into chaos. Political factions frequently utilize this kind of street-level intimidation. By framing a film as an attack on Indian culture, they can terrorize cinema owners into pulling the movie from their schedules. This pressure often results in targeted, state-level bans. Critically acclaimed movies like Parzanya and Fadak were heavily suppressed specifically within the state of Gujarat. Both narratives dealt directly with the immediate aftermath of the region's intense communal riots, a subject local authorities and political groups determined was too volatile to show in local theaters. The courts might delay a release with paperwork, but a political protest applies immediate physical pressure. It forces theaters to abandon a project entirely, overriding whatever official certificate the censor board issued. Making it through this gauntlet comes with a steep financial cost, almost certain death at the box office. When projects like Black Friday and Water finally received clearance after years of delays, their marketing budgets were entirely drained. With promotional momentum completely dead, they opened to empty seats and severe financial losses. However, blocking these films didn't erase them from existence. It simply diverted their distribution to the underground market. The heavily censored film Punch ended up leaking online in its complete, unedited form, where it quietly built a massive audience through pirated downloads and bootleg copies. This unauthorized circulation gave viewers access to a visceral, unfiltered style of storytelling that major studios and legal theaters simply weren't allowed to provide. The stylistic choices of these suppressed movies bled directly into the next wave of cinema. The banned black comedy Orf Professor, for instance, served as a creative blueprint for the gritty, hyper-realistic aesthetic later perfected in Gangs of Wasseypur. Director Anurag Kashyap, who saw his earliest work buried by the censors, used that friction to build a gritty tone that influenced modern Indian cinema. The combined forces of the censor board, the courts, and political mobs are highly effective at ruining a single film's profitability. Yet by forcing creators to fight for every frame, this gauntlet inadvertently forged a generation of uncompromising, resilient filmmakers.